Okay, I decided to throw a video up today. Just a talk day today. Just got done with lunch. Started to do a video and it didn't look that great, so it didn't sound that great. So I knocked it out of there and started fresh just now. Sometimes I'm in a better mood when I after I've eaten, although it makes me a little sleepy too. But what I wanted to do is, talk a little bit about the people that come into my comment section. Some of them, I know they haven't looked at the whole thing because they make a comment on there and they haven't been there long enough to have listened to it, and then they leave. Others come in and they'll leave a comment that has nothing to do with that video, or it's a complete fabrication of whatever they're talking about. In all those cases, I don't know if people think I'm stupid or something, but I can tell when the only reason you were there was to take a crap and leave, quite frankly. And of course, most of those I go ahead and get rid of them off the channel. I don't need that kind of people around out there. I just don't. But I wanted to give you an idea of, way back when I was just a youngster in my teens, I had decided to go in the military, and I did. And the reason I went in there is because I was kind of obstinate, and I hated authority of any kind. And I had been that way as far back as I can remember. Even when I was 4 or 5 years old, I was very bullheaded. And I had quit school halfway through my junior year. And when I turned 17, I went into the military, went into the Army. And in fact, when I ended up in Germany, I was still 17 years old. But I did have my GED before my classmates had their diploma in their hand. It wasn't that I didn't have the gray matter. It's just that I hated to be told what to do. Now, the military, I'm going to tell you, you're either going to follow orders or you're not going to be in there. And back then, in the 60s, they were gearing up. They were having problems with Russia in Germany, and also Cuba itself became a testing ground between Russia and the United States back in Kennedy days about who was going to have their way. And as it was, Kennedy was able to get that. He made them back off and put missiles down there. But going back to the military, you were going to do it their way, and that was it. And they tell you when you're going to go to bed, when you get up, when you're going to go to the pot, when you're going to eat, and what you're going to eat. There's very little things that you're going to be able to do on your own. And that first few months you're in the service, literally they tell you everything. And they'll tell you what equipment you can use on your personal hygiene. The outfit I was in, we're not allowed to use shaving cream. Not that I had to really use shaving cream when I shaved at that age, but there are plenty that did. And you use soap and a brush. You had this little brush, and you use the same soap you wash your body with. You're going to use to shave your beard with, or whiskers. You didn't have a beard. You didn't have a mustache. You were clean shaven, period. They would tell you, we're going to tear you down to the lowest level and then build you back our way. And literally, they did the best they could to do that. And I got my share of problems within a few days of hitting post. Number one is, I was in the reception center there, and they said, don't leave because you don't know what you're doing, and you'll get in trouble. So you stay right here till we're ready for you. Not me. Another guy and myself, we started walking because we wanted to see what it was like on post. And we didn't salute this officer that was coming at us because we didn't know we had to. And he stopped us. Now, I was pretty mouthy back then, and I had a little bit of size to me. I wasn't huge or anything, but a little bit. And I wasn't used to anybody giving me a ration of crap, and this guy started in on me. Well, it didn't take long before an argument ensued. And directly, there was some, I don't know if they were MPs or special police. I can't remember back then, but anyway, they grabbed us and took us back to the reception center. And the rest of the time I was there, we were there a whole week at the reception center. I got to clean out grease traps. And I'm not sure what the other guy got. He got, but we both were in the kitchens all day from the time they opened until they closed at night. And our duties were not good. So until we went to our assigned company. So that was my first inkling of what was going on. But what I seen while I was in there over the years, and I was in there 3 years, I was sent overseas by the time I'd been there 6 months to Germany. But there was people in there, and of course we referred to them as lifers. They signed up, they were going to be in there 20 or 30 years. And they were in charge, most of the time they were in charge of us, because if you don't kind of go up the ladder, and if you're not worth your salt, they kind of get you out of there. You're not going to hang around and be a private or private first class or even an E4 for 20 or 30 years. It's just not going to happen. You're either going to climb the ladder a little bit or you're out. But they all get used to this life of being told what to do and when to do it and getting permission for everything. That life was not for me. Now, I had to toe the line for that 3 years I was in there. And like I say, early on, I found out the consequences of not doing it. And once you learn how to behave yourself, it's an easy job. Military isn't that hard. Very boring at times. And we were guarding the border, and it would get cold. We were in the mountains. It was not fun. I don't know if I could even survive doing something like that now because I don't think I could hold up under the coldness and the climbing around and that you have to do back then. It's pretty raw living, and you dress warm enough, but you try taking a shower, and I'm talking about a bucket shower, okay? You have water in your bucket and you pour it over you to get the suds off from you. And it's cold. And I'm not talking about they had portable showers or anything like that when we were on the border. That didn't exist. They called us out for emergencies. We'd go out there. We'd be out there a few days. You washed in your helmet, and you were going to wash every day. So hygiene was kind of number one out there, I can tell you. Not fun at all. But anyway, it gives you an idea how they run you. And it takes a special mentality of a person to be able to keep doing it like that, having to be told everything. And I don't know how well they do when they get out after 20 or 30 years. The higher ups, the officers, I'm talking about above captains, and colonels, lieutenant colonels. I think they probably are able to get into regular civilian life and maybe make it okay. But it is completely different than military. Now, those kind of people, they're followers. And even though they have it in their mind that they're a leader, they're a very far down the ladder sub-leader at those different things, especially Second and First Louis. They're just at the lowest level of the officers. They're like, a private or a Spec 4, E4 within the officers. They're still in charge, but they're not in charge of much. A captain may actually be in charge of a company, but they still have to report to battalion commanders. So they're not the boss. They're a sub boss. You have to be way up there before you're the boss. But when they get out, they're used to that mentality. Well, when I looked around at the people that come into these chats, and it's almost as if they're spewing out hate things that they learned from following somebody else. And in fact, I could almost prove that with most of them, because there was a few I recognized names that come on my channel different times. And you could tell that they hadn't thought out about what they were saying. It was like just a quick verbiage out there. And would have nothing to do with your channel whatsoever. It was just something they had heard that day or that night or maybe a day or two before. And they were in such a hurry to get it back out to prove and go back on that channel and say, yeah, I told him off. I told him what I thought of him. And they make these remarks. They don't know me from Adam, but quite frankly, I'm just what you see. I'm an 80-year-old man, been retired quite a while, and pretty easy going for the most part. But I have a fair amount of intelligence, and I know how to see through a person pretty easy. And I can tell when they've been on there just a few minutes and made a remark and then left, because if the program or the video I put up is an hour long, and you got there and you've been there 15 minutes and make a remark and leave, I know you didn't get into the meat of the video, did you? But you must think that I'm too addled to understand or even look at that part. And over 90% of them don't really, the channel they have is what I call a trolling channel. They're making remarks, and a lot of them are looking for a pat on the back, so they're following somebody else as a leader. And they follow a leader that has maybe the loudest voice of the most people, because that makes them feel the most important. They get in there, get into a chat, and the remarks get back and forth, and they think they're doing something. Excuse me. So they come into mine, and then they say something, they can go back and brag about it. It doesn't give them much stature, and especially when you go on their channel and they've never put a video up. Then they may have 0 subs, and there are some channels out there that actually have some videos, but they borrowed them from somebody else. They didn't make them. They did a snapshot, brought them into theirs, and it's not something they made. They copied it from somebody else and put it in there. And it could be nothing more than different musicians they followed, or chats from somebody else's video or something that they put in there. And sometimes they get caught, and they're not allowed to make money on them. So the only reason they're out there is strictly to troll channels. Now, they don't troll every channel, but they will follow somebody else that has a negative outlook on somebody, latch onto that channel, and they become a troll for that person. In other words, they do the dirty work for that person. And, in this instance here, most of the stuff come from, like Jeremy or Tug or Megan, somebody like that. Shitsy Nuts, or whatever his name is, he's one. Vague Nation. There's quite a few that are followers of Jeremy. And you can almost, if he says something out there, then it's almost like it goes out through the people out there. And I can usually tell if my name's been brought up or not, because all of a sudden I'll get anywhere from 10 to maybe 30 people come into my comment section all of a sudden, and they start spewing their hate. Now, I don't know what kind of jollies it gives them, but I can tell you this. It's kind of like that one day Jeremy got into argument, not an argument, but he was yelling at John. Okay, everybody knows, they've seen that video. And he's grabbing his jewels, grabbing his jewels and yelling at John, telling him what he is, you know. It's like, it's funny more than anything. But it shows what happens when a person gets carried away and they're trying to make content for their channel. And then several people have had to take it down. Part of it is because of the language that was used. And there's been different excuses. Some of it was because copyright. But it it got around. Everybody has seen it. And they know that, you know, it's a hate thing, that he was spewing all the hate he could. But these people that go out there and follow these kind of actions, for some reason, they have that same hate in them. They're not looking for good things or nice things. It's very one-sided. They don't really come into your channel to see if there's any validity in what you're talking about. As far as they're concerned, it's negative no matter what's in there, and they don't hear anything else. So for those people out there, I feel sorry for you because life sucks. Your talk, you know, when you attack my channel, you're not getting a whole lot, fella, or woman, whatever you are. It's just me out there. Now, I know Monday, you guys, a lot of you that like to go out there and troll channels, you were pumped up pretty good by some of those sub-channels that follow Jeremy out there. And they came out there and they were looking for blood. They found it in Leslie's channel and just berated her. And you used all the social media out there you could, Facebook and I think X and TikTok. And I seen things out there that I couldn't believe. One of the channels, I actually seen a Antichrist statement in there from one of the subscribers. And when I seen that, I actually noticed it, I just shut that end down and said, that's enough of that. I don't want to see more of that. It's unfortunate that those type of people are out there running around, but they are. You just have to understand their mentality. They have to be told, just like when you're in the military, when to get up, when to go take a crap, when to eat, when to go to bed, if it's okay to do anything, no matter what it is. You have to have permission. And I don't care if you're an officer, there's somebody above you, you're going to get permission. You have parameters that you have to stay in, period. It's very strict. So, yeah, I would have never been a good lifer. There's a lot of them out there that were good. And thank the Lord we've got them because they do protect our country. While I was in there, I learned very well that it is actually an honor to serve your country, but for people to do it as a job to make it their life's work, it is a different breed of people that do that. They have to follow orders and dedicate their life to that one thing. And my hats are off to them, by the way. I hate to use them as an example of the people that go around trolling, but the mentality is somewhat there. In other words, they're looking for a leader, and once they're zoomed into that leader, they don't hear or see any other version of the subject at hand, period. Well, that's my lecture for the day. Some of you will hate it. And some of it will say, he don't know what he's talking about. And that's okay. You do not have to believe me. Someday the reality of where you're at and what you're doing that maybe your mind will come up and say, you know what, that guy might have known what he was talking about. I followed somebody down in the rabbit hole and I couldn't get turned around. By the way, even getting involved in this situation out there, that is a rabbit hole itself. No matter what side you're on, what you're doing, it's a bad situation. My recommendation to anybody out there that listens in and hasn't taken a side or got involved is don't. Don't bother. I don't know if this thing will ever get resolved. It may. I can tell you this. There's a lot of bad people out there involved in it. And it's going to do nothing but get worse till it gets to the very end and is stopped by the law. With that, first, one more thing I want to say. The result of all the problems out here, and the reason a lot of people got involved, was there's a family out there that really needed some backing, some help. And they had friends, and I'm glad they did, because they would not have, I don't know if they'd have survived out there without some friends, some good friends. And that's John and Michelle. And my hat's off to you and your little daughter. I don't always like to use her name because someday she's going to be a teenager. And if people use what's going on now to berate her in some way, I don't want to be a part of that portion of it. Regardless, even if you're trying to do good, your name can come up and stuff like that. It's going to be hard, I think, on that little girl when she's up in high school. And I hope not, but it could happen. The way I see people today, families are being attacked. And if you don't believe me, you ask Bruce. He was working for free to help that family out. And from the day he offered to help him, he's been attacked and still does on a regular basis. I'd say daily. Well, day and night. It hasn't stopped. It's terrible to be that way. Wow. But Michelle and John have been living through this for a couple of years. I don't know how they did it. I am glad they had friends. But they gained a lot more friends because as people looked at it and they seen the bully tactics that were used on them and the way that they were used on them, they decided to try to protect them. And once in, they couldn't get out because these people that were doing the attacks attack everything that's around. It's worse than stepping into some hill of fire ants. Absolutely worse. And any of you that live down south long enough know if you stand on a anthill full of fire ants, you're going to be doing a lot of jumping around. You're going to wish you had never stepped on it. But once you've done it, it's too late. You're going to have the venom is going to be there until it works its way out. I lived in Texas and Louisiana long enough to learn about stuff like that. It's no fun. I think I probably should let you go. Like I say, I used John and Michelle to show you what I felt a lot of the reason people got involved was to try to protect them. And thank the Lord that a lot of them were helped out by a lot of people. And they're working their way towards finishing out that home that they have. A lot of the work that they tried to get done was stopped because once this thing started, every channel they used would be overloaded with haters. It doesn't matter whether it's YouTube or other social media. It became almost blocked with the number of people who got in there and just hated on them. And people were scared to be associated with them. You can't hardly get a lawyer to fight your case when they realize they may have 1 million people come down on them. And I'm saying that literally. That there's a lot of people involved in that case. Well, that's all for me today. Unfortunately, some people have got involved that probably they're wishing they hadn't, and I feel bad for them. I pray almost every single night for relief for these people that have a hard time with it, and that the Lord will guide the people that are trying to protect into the right path of protection for John and Michelle and their daughter. I see a lot of improvements for those people there. The fence is up and looks good. He's had to modify it to try to maintain privacy for the little girl. And even trying and doing that, people have done anything, but it's just attack. Doesn't matter what they do. There's so many of them out there think it's wrong for them to do that. But I know where the wrong belongs. And I know that with the good Lord's help, John and Michelle and their little daughter are going to make it okay. And it'll come to an end someday. I hope that someday is sooner than later, though. With that, there's a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe, if you will. I don't know what's going to happen in the very near future. I think that there's probably going to be some funding have to take place to protect the legal end of the different people that are going to be involved with lawsuits over the next year or so, and maybe longer. These battles run a long time. I know Michelle's and John's have been a couple of years, and they've had a couple of lawyers that work pro bono. But a lot of people are scared to take it on. Like I say, they don't want to get involved in this thing. They don't want to go down the rabbit hole. There's not room to turn around. Once you're in, you're in. There is no backing out hardly. So with that in mind, subscribe. Let's start building each other's channels a little bit if we can. It may be needed somewhere down the line. I've never tried anything like that. I didn't think I would have to. I don't know if I will or not, but I can see that for some it's been kind of an expensive trip. And I don't think anybody really envisioned how much could be spent in legal fees, what it costs for a few hours' work, much less a year's work. It's expensive. So keep it in mind somewhere down the line. We'll be trying to build our channels, and there'll be some help asked. But I hope you have big hearts, and hope you help in the future. It won't just be me. I've already asked for a couple other people for help for them, and I hope you do it. If you go to my last video, you'll see a link there to help Maskin out. If you would click on there and help him out, it would be a great help for him. And as each person starts asking for something or needing something for the legalities, I'll try to keep them posted on my channel. And we'll help those people out if we can. As far as bad language and things like that, I'd rather keep it to a minimum if I can. I've been berated a few times because I've been on a channel where it's used and laughed along with the people. But people, you can't go through life without hearing bad language. And I look at the worth of the man or the woman, and sometimes the language is used as a way to get rid of the pressure. And sometimes it's used in lieu of other words. I look at it in the context that it's used a lot of times and realize it's just a burst of pressure that came out, not necessarily a real meaning to it. And you have to look at how it was utilized. And if you do that, it won't wrinkle your ears quite as bad. And, I'll tell you what, if language itself or actions was to turn a Christian off, Christ would have never walked the earth where he did and helped the people that he did, because he looked at the ones that needed help and used his hand and reached out to them. It didn't matter if they were in the gutter or if they were walking the streets. They were welcome in his world. He wanted to be an example for the people. So when you go out there and you start judging people and you say, well, you're not Christian and you're not this, well, give the people that you think are not a reason to want to be. Yeah. Think of it that way. Say, I want to help you. I want to help you be a better Christian. Don't judge them whether you think they are or not. Go out there and say, I want to help you be a better Christian. It'll make you feel better. If you hate on somebody, it'll affect you. You'll have a hard time sleeping at night, and it'll get to overwhelm your entire life. Hate will take you over. Don't let somebody talk you into that. That's the wrong path. With that, like John says, ta-ta. Now, my next one, I may explain a little more about how people really got into wanting to help John and why John and Michelle deserve that helping hand. Okay? So that'll bring all the haters out. They'll be in full force. And maybe the good people can see how bad it can be for someone that's being chased down. I mean, I can't run. Think about it. I've run my last race. I can't run away. I'm here. And all they can do is throw stones at me. That's all. With that, ta-ta.